We're all taught that to be successful, you just have to work harder than everyone else. And yeah, sure, that might get you into the top 10%. But what about the top 1%? It turns out the rules for getting there are completely different. The guy who created the system went from homeless to a multi-millionaire investor, and his secret wasn't just about grinding it out. So let's dive into how he did it.
And this, right here, is the core idea we're going to unpack. So forget everything you've heard about hustle culture. This isn't about motivation. It's about engineering a framework for your own success. It's a total shift from relying on brute force to relying on smart design. The whole idea is simple. Instead of pushing yourself through all the hard things, you build a system that literally pulls you through them.
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, these are simple, actionable principles you can use to finally tackle those hard things you've been putting off. Let's break down the very first one.
Okay, this first system is all about commitment. But I'm not just talking about saying you're committed. I mean creating a situation where you have no other choice but to succeed. It's about trapping yourself in the best possible way.
To really get this, we've got to go back in time, way back. Picture this. The Spanish conquistador, Hernán Cortés, lands on the shores of Mexico with just a few hundred men. And what's their goal? No, nothing big, just to conquer the entire Aztec Empire. They are massively outnumbered in a completely foreign land, facing what looks like impossible odds. So what does Cortés do to make sure his troops are all in? He gives a simple and frankly terrifying order: sink the ships. And just like that, there was no plan B, no escape route, no possibility of going home. Winning was the only option left on the table. See, when you remove the safety net, you force yourself to make plan A work, period.
And there's actually a name for this. In behavioral design, they call it a forcing function. It's a constraint you intentionally place on yourself to literally force you into the growth you want. It's not about wishing for change. It's about designing an environment where change becomes completely inevitable.
So, how do you sink your own ships? Well, first up, there's public commitment. Go tell people what you're going to do. Trust me, social pressure is a powerful motivator. Second, create financial stakes. Pay for that gym membership before you feel ready. Having some skin in the game changes everything. Third, cut the access. Come on, you know the one. Delete those distracting apps. And fourth, time box it. Give yourself a hard deadline. 90 minutes to ship something. No excuses.
Now, sinking your ships, that takes commitment. But even when we're totally committed, we still fail to follow through, right? And we usually blame one thing: a lack of willpower. But what if willpower isn't really the problem?
This is such a crucial question. You can be 100% committed, but still find yourself scrolling on the couch by the end of the day. And the reason, it turns out, has less to do with your character and way more to do with your biology. So check this out. A researcher named Roy Baumeister did this fascinating study. He brought people into his lab and put a plate of fresh-baked chocolate chip cookies right in front of them. One group was told they couldn't eat the cookies. They had to resist. The other group could eat as many as they wanted. Afterwards, he gave both groups a bunch of impossible puzzles to solve. Now, you'd think the disciplined group, the cookie resistors, would perform better, right? Well, the results were not what you'd expect.
The results were pretty shocking. The group that had to resist the cookies, they gave up on the puzzles 50% faster than the group that got to indulge. Why? Because resisting that temptation, even for a few minutes, drained their mental energy.
And this just brilliantly illustrates the core concept. Your willpower is not infinite. Think of it like a fuel tank. Every single decision you make, every distraction you fight off, every temptation you resist, it slowly drains that tank. By the end of the day, you are running on empty. And this isn't a moral failing, it's just biology. So the whole point is this: you can't solve a biological problem with a vague solution like just try harder. You have to design a system that works with your biology, not against it. Take the world's fastest man, sprinter Noah Lyles. He doesn't rely on willpower. 6 days a week, it's the same track, same playlist, same warm-up. He says that when the gun goes off, he's not even thinking. His body just knows exactly what to do. That's not discipline, that's design.
So if our willpower is this finite resource, we need a system that helps us bypass it altogether. The solution? It's to run a simple algorithm in your brain, like a little piece of code that automates your decisions for you.
Okay, so a psychologist at NYU named Peter Gallwitzer studied students who wanted to exercise more over their holiday break. He split them into two groups. The first group was just told to set a goal, something like, I want to work out more. But the second group, they were told to create a specific if-then plan. Same motivation, just very different instructions. And the results were astounding.
The goal setters, the ones with just a vague intention, 62% of them failed to follow through. That's most of them.
Now look at the if-then planners. Their failure rate was just 9%. 9! That is a staggering difference, and it all comes down to one simple line of code.
This is the algorithm. If this specific trigger happens, then I will perform this specific action. If it's 3 p.m. on a Thursday, then I start deep work. If I finish lunch, then I will walk for 15 minutes. It works because it takes all the emotion, the debate, and the negotiation out of the equation. Your brain isn't sitting there bargaining with itself, it's just running the code.
Now, here's a funny paradox for you. The more skilled you become at something, the more you actually need simple systems to support you. This next system is the ultimate safety net, especially for high performers. So, the famous surgeon Atul Gawande was trying to figure out why world-class surgeons were still making these basic preventable mistakes. I mean, these are experts at the absolute top of their field, but under pressure, their performance was all over the place. So we worked with the World Health Organization to create a dead simple 19-step surgical checklist. It had stuff like confirming the patient's name and marking the correct leg for an operation. And you're probably thinking, that's way too basic for an expert. But the results were incredible.
After hospitals started using this simple system, post-surgical complications fell by 36%. Just like that.
And even more dramatically, get this, deaths dropped by 47%. Same surgeons, same incredible skills. The only difference was a simple checklist that acted as a safety net when their brains were overloaded.
I mean, think about it. Pilots with thousands of hours of flight time still read the exact same checklist before every single flight. It's not because they forget how to fly. It's because they know you can't trust your memory when the pressure is on. Checklists aren't for beginners. They're for experts who need to free up their mental bandwidth for the truly hard problems.
And you can apply this directly to your own life. Think beyond a simple to-do list. That's just about execution. You should also create a to-want list for expansion. All the skills you want to learn or experiences you want to have. And a to-be list for your personal evolution, the character traits you want to embody. This isn't about creating more work. It's about engineering clarity into your life. All these systems, the forcing functions, the if-then plans, the checklists, they're all incredibly powerful tools. But the final step, the real transformation, is to move from using these systems to actually becoming the system. So Harvard researchers once scanned the brains of Tibetan monks while they were meditating, and they found something absolutely astonishing. The brainwaves of all the monks were synchronized, perfectly in rhythm with each other. They weren't trying to do this. They weren't focusing on it or motivating themselves. After years and years and years of repetition, their very nervous systems had evolved into that pattern. They had literally become the practice.
And this right here reveals the ultimate secret. We all think motivation comes first, and then we take action. But the monks teach us it's the exact opposite. Repetition drives motivation. When you repeat an action consistently, your brain starts to predict it, to crave the routine. Your biology stops fighting you and actually starts pulling you forward. You're no longer pushing a boulder uphill, you're just letting it roll.
Look, success isn't about one giant leap of willpower. It's about designing small, repeatable systems that carry you forward, almost automatically. You don't have to change your entire life tonight. Instead, just focus on tomorrow. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What one tiny rule, what single if-then plan or checklist will you design to make your tomorrow just 1% better? Because that's how the top 1% operate. If you build the right systems, those systems will build you.